Well, hello. Good morning,
Oh,
Tammy.
hello, hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. Oh, I spent I spent yesterday afternoon in my eye doctor's office for like 3 hours because
Oh,
I had another one of those flashes thing, and they tell you to go to the doctor and make sure it's not torn, and mine was torn. But anyway, it's
it
all
was. It was.
yeah, it's I'll tell you about it later, but let's
Yeah.
introduce ourselves.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay.
good morning, everybody. This is Two Psychic Moms here. We have Tammy.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm Tammy Langowski. You can find me at tammysintuitive.com. I'm an intuitive advisor to your questions and areas that you'd like to take a look at. Social media, you can find me Tammy's Intuitive Services on Instagram and Facebook. I channel messages. You can find those there. And I have another YouTube channel, Tammy's Channel Chats, where I channel messages. So that's how you can find me. And Julie.
And I'm Julie Hawkins. I am the Biz Psychic, and you can find me at juliehawkins.com or bizpsychic.com. And those are basically my Facebook pages too. And I'm sure I have something on Insta, but I never post there, so don't go there. And I channel also, I channeled the other day some probably political, as some people would call them, political message. Well, I would call them political. But I had a friend who likes to ask those questions. So he sort of interviews me and asks those questions. And that'll probably be up on the Biz Psychic YouTube channel. I don't know, it might be a couple of weeks. So, because I have to go back through and write down the questions and condense them and then send it to my VA and all the things that you probably never wanted to hear. So I have to get done in the back and, the back end. So there we go.
Stuff takes time. It does.
So now my dentist is calling me because I have a dentist appointment, but I can't answer it right now. So life, oh my gosh.
And Julie, by the way, just had a birthday. So happy belated birthday to Julie.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thank you. It just was so not I had a lot of anticipation coming up to this birthday, and then it came and went, and I'm like, yeah, next.
Exactly. That's kind of how it is. And
next
every
thing.
birthday you celebrate, every birthday must be celebrated, friends.
100%. I agree with that. 100%.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what the number is.
I was sitting, well, I think the bigger the number, the I don't know, at least a personal celebration. I'm not one for parties, so
yeah.
So I was sitting channeling for my friend the other day who was asking these questions, and as I was channeling, I'm like, I could see the flash. So originally I had a flash in my left eye 6 months ago, which I'd never had, so I didn't know anything about it, but I did all this research, and then I went to the doctor, so I found out all the stuff about it. And so when this one happened, I went, okay, I guess I better call the doctor just to make sure everything's okay. And it's so interesting. I tell you, my guides, they're like, they literally, as I started to say it, they're like, don't worry, we've got you, we've got you. I called the eye doctor and I'm like, yeah, I know somebody who, like, she had a hemorrhage, a vein burst or something, and now there's blood, and she's like, can't see in that eye. And I mean, just horrible. And
right.
And it can be so what happens with this situation is that at the older you get, you have like this gel and it breaks free, and that's what the floaters are. And as it breaks free, it can cause either a rupture or a tear or nothing.
Right.
And so you've had it, right, Tammy?
Yeah. Yep.
So I thought, well, I just better go. So I called the doctor. She's like, oh, we don't have anything until Wednesday. And I'm like, oh my God, on Wednesday, I have this on Wednesday, blah, 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 blah. So we talked for a while, and then she hangs up, and then she calls me back 5 minutes later, and she goes, can you come at 1:30? And it was literally 1:45. She goes, the call that I put on hold while I was talking to you was calling to cancel.
Oh, wow. Perfect.
I'm like, so wait, then this is the synchronicity of everything, right? So I get to the eye doctor, the retina eye specialist who comes to visit at my eye doctor, who's literally there only 2 days a month, is there.
Love that.
So she's like, oh yeah. After she does this whole thing, and I'm going to say wasn't painful, but it was uncomfortable. She's like, yeah, there's a tear and we should probably just laser it and we can do that now. I'm like, okay, sure. So
Wow,
then
okay.
she had some other patients and I waited and then she did it, which was even more uncomfortable. And of course my eyes were dilated. So then I came home and I was like,
Yeah, I can imagine.
you
So did
know,
that take care of it? I mean, is that, what you had done was,
yeah. So I think that's it. She said, come back on Monday. I'll take a look. It should just,
okay,
it doesn't really repair it. My understanding of it is that it sort of contains the situation so that the tear doesn't grow.
I see.
So
Okay, good to know
I
for
was like,
anybody out there. Yeah, and we said before, I
exactly.
know this is not really what we, are channeling about today necessarily, but since
No,
we're on that subject, if you ever do have any flashes on the side of your eyes, because I've had the vitreous detachment, I forget the actual words,
yes,
vitreous
yes, you're
detachment.
close.
There's a missing word in the middle, I think.
Retinal,
Retinal, is that it?
I don't know.
Yeah, VDP, I don't know, there's an acronym for it. But anyway, if you get those flashes on the side of your eyes, it can be normal as far as regular aging. That, like Julie was saying, the gel starts to separate, but it also can be something a little more serious. So they always say, go have that checked out if you are ever seeing flashes. I would see them at night. I still get them. They're not as bad, and it's diminished more probably as the gel has been separating. And I have had it checked. It's not a detachment, but that can happen. So yeah, just some little tidbit there that if you ever have that, it's worth getting checked.
100%, 100%. It's not, yeah, you know what? They're your eyes.
Yeah, that's right.
You only have two. You don't want to lose any of them, either of them. And yeah, it's funny. So here's what I did notice though, and then we'll move on, which is when it happened in my left eye, it was like lightning down the side.
Mhm.
When it happened on my right eye, it came in almost the shape of a crescent on top.
Interesting.
It is interesting that they were very different. So
Well, it's good to talk about the symptoms of it because it can be different. Another thing I was told, and I think I saw it once, was like I told him it looked like a mesh, and he said like a screen. I said, yeah,
wow.
so like a screen, you could see, you know what I mean, and that's also can be part of it too. So yeah, it can be different things, but yeah, obviously, bottom line, if you have anything like that, it's just a good idea.
I'm going to tell you though, I have really a lot of irritating floater stuff going on.
I
So
know.
I'm
I
like,
know. Okay. So, yeah.
if that
Right.
happens, that's what's going on. All right.
Yeah.
So that's the catch up from Julie and Tammy. And
Yeah.
I mean, it is serious because it is your eyes and you don't want to mess around. So
Hey, you know what? Before we get started on our
yeah.
question, let's talk about, just because it's still towards the beginning of
Yes,
this too,
yes.
about our live Facebook that we're going to be doing on September 22nd, 6:30, right?
Yep. Which is a week and a day from today. So a week from tomorrow.
Yeah. So 6:30 p.m. the 22nd, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. So you can find it, just get on either Julie's Facebook page, my Facebook page, Tammy's Intuitive Services. Yours would be what, the Biz Psychic
I
or
think
Biz Psychic?
it will stream to actually my page, which
Yes.
is Julie Hawkins, but I will share it to the Biz Psychic because if you're not my friend, sorry about that. But if you're not my friend, you won't be able to get it from there. So I will then share it
Right.
to my Facebook page. My Biz Psychic page, and anybody there can access it as well. So.
Yeah, exactly. And then I'll share it to my Tammy's Intuitive Services. So when we go live, be patient with us. We'll be setting that up a little bit. But we hope that you'll join us with any questions, general type questions that you have for us. And we'd be happy to take a look at some.
So as the week goes on and current events happen or whatever events happen, you might have come to mind. Come on, Felix, you want to come up? You might have things come to mind like, why is that going on? We'll write it down and test, because the two questions that we have, one from from each different, two questions, one from one person, one from another, are different, and they're kind of socially oriented, and And so anything you ask us is kind of open, as long as it isn't like, am I going to make $1 million? Because then that's a reading. So as you probably know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, or just any of those philosophical questions, right, Julie? You know, some of those that, yeah, like you said, like you wonder, like, you know, I've always wondered about this, like that great one we had about Bigfoot. Like, thanks again, Rudy, for that.
exactly.
You know, that was kind of a cool question. I mean, it is one, you know, that would be interesting to hear what our guides have to say about it.
Exactly.
So, you know, anything that's kind of, you know, like that as well. So,
yeah, I mean, they could be just random. Yeah, we like those questions. So fascinating questions. Okay, so so the first one is from Daphne. We love you. We love all our supporters. So we, you know, I say this every time, but we love when the questions come. So keep sending them.
Thank you.
All right, and this one, do you want to read it? I don't know how much is.
Sure, we can read. I think it's worth reading all this, and I hope Daphne's okay with that. I mean, I'm assuming, because it's great. It's great how you worded it, Daphne. So, yeah, if you'd like me to read it, I can. I have it right here.
Go ahead.
Okay. So she just said she'd like to ask a question on racism. And she says, currently, there are a lot of social issues being brought up across the nation, from Black Lives Matter to Stop Asian Hate, but it's not just about the violence. Racism is so deeply rooted in this country that it is what shapes how America operates, because it is everywhere at all levels. People of color often talk about the glass ceiling at work. There is so much suppression and wage discrimination. My question I would like to ask is, what is the best way to go around the glass ceiling? If we are faced with discriminations at work, what is the best way to overcome them? How can we strive for equal opportunities and wage equality? Thanks again, with much love and light. And I love your PS. I'm just going to share that. She just said, thank you so much, Julie and Tammy, for having this channel available to the public. Thank you, Daphne. We appreciate that.
I can do this.
Yes, yes. The big heart.
And I just want to add something. I just want to say, Daphne said glass ceiling, not class ceiling.
Okay.
Which could kind of be similar. So
I haven't heard the idea of class ceiling. I've heard of glass ceiling, but not the class.
I've never heard that either, but as you were saying it, I thought.
So did it sound like I said class?
A little bit. I'm like,
okay, glass. But, yeah, GLASS is what
but we want to say that is not so far off.
Yeah, right.
There are class ceilings. So nothing, they're saying to me, nothing is accidental. You heard class ceiling, even though I read this and I knew that it was glass ceiling. There are class ceilings too. And so, boy, are there. And so I guess I'm just going to run with this since
go for it.
But, you know, what I heard them start to say to me as you were reading it is, so much of what drives human behavior is fear. And your particular US society, and many of them at large, in third world countries, you see this so much in Afghanistan, and just many countries are patriarchal. And it is very much control driven and fear-based. And if you do not have a company, a culture that is more enlightened and doesn't fear their own growth through the prosperous nature and the growth of everyone, then you're not going to run into so much of the class or glass ceiling. It truly is, as your country and as the world evolves, you see we make strides forward, then we bounce backward. And this is evolution. This is the nature of evolution. And it has been that way since the beginning. It is not unlike something we channeled last night or yesterday for they said for your friend. So, which is that from the beginning of time, from the beginning of humanity, before Homo sapiens even, it was always about survival. And that is an instinct that is built into the human race. And some people are better at separating true existential, their own personal existential survival from survival of their job, or just, the fear that comes around losing a job or losing a source of income. So it's kind of an individual thing to be a little bit more specific. Some companies and some areas across your country certainly are more progressive, and then some are less progressive. So to get to the specific of your question, which is how do you break that when you're faced with discrimination at work? They just said to me, and I can't remember who said it, but they said there was I think it was a woman politician. She said, or maybe it was in a book I read, I don't even know. But the person said, women have to work twice as hard for the same amount of recognition. And unfortunately, you have to do that at work, and you have to do that in your culture. But educating people and working hard to help them understand what you face as either an Asian or a person of color and a woman is the first step. People dismiss what they can't personally experience and don't understand. They just don't get it. And it's not necessarily a mean intention thing. It's just, well, that doesn't apply to me. And it is that way for everybody. It is just, we don't have a perspective of it until we experience it. Mm-hmm. And so helping somebody to understand where you're coming from is a step that might help you in dealing with some of that glass ceiling and class ceiling. So interesting that they said that. I like that. Thank you. And there may be more, but I'm going to turn it over to Tammy and her guides.
Oh, well, what you said is great, Julie. Thank you. I'm in agreement with that. And yeah, what I'm just looking at, when I'm looking down, I'm looking at what you wrote here, Daphne. So what stood out to me, a couple of things they're saying is, okay, so they're kind of going back to the basics that, we come into a lifetime, all obviously learning different things. We have many lifetimes of walking in different shoes. So sometimes we're going to come into a lifetime that is working on certain issues, working on certain issues, but also being a voice to those and being able to plant some seeds and to make some change. So what stood out to me in your question when I was first reading it was the part, really, I guess, to your question, what's the best way to go around this glass ceiling? If we are faced with discriminations at work, what is the best way to overcome them? And I know this is going to go to something that seems like, well, it doesn't sound like an answer, what we can actually do, but it's the inward stuff is where my guides are going with this. So checking in on areas of self-worth, building upon that. We're not saying that you don't feel that you're worthy, but if your outward world, no matter what your color, is treating you a certain way, then it's just that reflection that maybe we just need to go in and, I don't know, I'll say beef up my self-worthiness, because regardless of my race, how do I feel that I fit in? Do I think I do deserve to fit in? Now, many of you would say, well, of course I do. Your outward world, your circumstances are going to reflect back the true feeling of that message, no matter, again, where you're at, female, male, of color, Caucasian, whatever it is. Because we do know that there's going to be, they said there are people, we'll say of color, okay, meaning Asian, maybe of color, right? That are very successful, women, we'll even say, okay, that are very successful in a company or a job. Not saying that they didn't have to fight for it, because I agree that the women, what Julie was saying, it feels like they're even saying that too, that women, sadly, are needing to go the extra mile, it seems like, to get their place in there. But it's not impossible, and it's done and is being done and has been done. So I would say to this question, and if I was in that situation, I think I would be doing a little meditation on that and really going in with what are my expectations, first of all? What is it that I feel I deserve? And if I am strongly deserving something, then I'm going to work a little harder in putting that message out from in here to out there. So that can come back at me, and circumstances can support that. So we don't mean this to sound like an easy out answer. Yes, sometimes you have to speak up, but that's probably part of that lesson, is to speak up, to bring attention and awareness to it. Because remember, in a lifetime, we are not always going to be, we won't always be in the position to have the answer, to be the one that makes the absolute change of everything. But instead, we may be here as planting the seeds and bringing awareness. The more awareness we bring to something, the more growth there is, right? People are starting to look at it differently. You may just be part of that plan, but love yourself through this. Love yourself through this. And again, that goes back to the inner work. I'd be working on affirmations. If I felt like that, this is what I would do. I would sit down in meditations. I would get clear as to what your expectations, Tammy. Do you feel like you're in this, let's say, this company that, no way, I'm not going to get ahead. I see how they treat me or they treat other people. Likely it's going to stay that way if my expectation is that I can't make a difference or I can't make a change. If I were to feel in that, I'd start either looking at ways I can make a change and start affirming for myself my own self-worth. I am worthy of being seen and heard. I am worthy of equal pay. I am worthy of being looked at uniquely for who I am and what I have to give. So they would say, in answer to that question, we would say is to really start working on what you know you can do right now, which is to sit down with yourself and to paint a really great picture. The picture's there already. Jump on board with it, they said, believe in it. That might just start to change your outward situation and how people are recognizing you and treating you. Small steps, they said, we know, small steps, but they can, and you may not see it happen in this lifetime. Sorry to say you may, but you may not. But you're going to be a voice and you're going to be part of a movement. Okay.
That was brilliant.
Thank you, guys.
So brilliant, because really, because it always comes back to us. It always comes back to you.
Yes.
And how you look at things and how I'm not going to add anything to that. It was just brilliant. So a couple of different ways of looking at this. We hope that's really helpful for you.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, they also said to me as you were talking, and I wrote it down, I swear to you, I must have been connected into Abraham yesterday when I was channeling, because they said, yeah, we're pals with them. Because all of a sudden I was like talking and I'm like, you beat the drum and you need to beat the drum. And that's such an Abraham Hicks phrase, which I never personally have ever in my life.
Love that. Yeah, probably came on in to help you out with that. Yeah.
And it was crazy that it came in. So what was happening, the reason I'm saying this is because they were saying you need to beat the drum of what is fairness for you. We know fairness for you is a big value. It's important about for you to feel justice and respect, right? And so continue to beat the drum inwardly and outwardly of that justice for all. It was wild. It was wild that came in. So yeah.
And I'm just going to add to that it's the same thing we're saying, but we have to always think about that when circumstances around you seem to be the same. You're getting the same treatment, the same, whatever it is. That's when really you should be taking a look at what's going on within yourself and those expectations. So I just want to emphasize that because they're emphasizing it, that just what we're talking about, that really things do start within. Your outward world is a reflection of what your goals are, what your causes are, what you feel. So just start with that and see what happens if you build upon that and strengthen that within. Start noticing if there's a change in your environment, whether it's at work or just in this case, how people might be treating you. And if you're absolutely powerful, and a lot of powerful people have, gotten the accolades they deserved because they knew it innately, that my self-worth is something, and I know I'm right about this. Those are powerful beings that come to make change. And, they will start to see the outward result, I guess, is how we would say it.
No, it cannot be emphasized too much, for sure.
Yeah.
Our outward, our world out there is direct reflection of what goes on in here and how we perceive and communicate. So
Right.
we always have to start within. I mean, if you're experiencing the same thing over and over again, no matter where you go and what you do, what's the common denominator?
Right. Yeah.
Not everybody else, it's not everybody else that's, and it's not a question of right or wrong. It's an energy that you
Yeah.
be sending out. So
Exactly, because you may be really justified, and they just said, "What are you going to do about it?" They said that's the next, and they'll say that to me sometimes, like, or to my clients. So, what are you going to do about it?
Go
They
beat
put
the
it right
drum.
back in.
Go beat the drum, right?
Yeah, exactly,
Or
exactly.
beat the drum of your own evolution. Oh my
Right.
gosh.
Right.
Crazy that. All right. So what a great range of responses for you. So great question, great answers.
Thank you again for that. Yeah, great question.
All right. So the next one is, so Marco says, so what accounts for the pandemic? And when he says the pandemic, we're going to continue that because it's not just the viral illness pandemic. He's saying the pandemic of insecurity, fear, and rage, at least in the United States, and the prospects for this fever peaking anytime soon. So instead of just the regular pandemic that we're dealing with, then we're also dealing with this pandemic of fear, insecurity, and rage. And is that going to change anytime soon? So feel free to, you go first if you
Oh,
want.
really? Okay.
Well, it's up to you. I mean, that's fine.
Let me just see. So, pandemic of fear, rage, really, that's going on, guys, in our world. Okay, so my guides are very direct. So I don't want to apologize for them, but I'm just fair warning. Why are you putting so much emphasis on that as a collective? This is what I'm hearing. Why are you putting so much emphasis? Please be patient with this, okay? Because I know this sounds like really heartless and cold. It's not. But they're saying, why are you putting so much attention on just what you asked? Fear, rage, and we don't mean specifically the person who's asked this question. We mean as, of course, society or whatever it might be. You see, the more the emphasis that you're putting on it, the bigger it's coming. Now, some may beg to differ and say, well, no, look at the situation. Okay, what do you mean? The situation is that it is. There is a lot of fear and blah, blah, blah. And they're saying, yes, there is. What can you do about it? Gosh, they're all about inward stuff today. They're just saying, start paying attention to how you feel. Please, they're saying how you feel as an individual. You can make a difference of shifting that awareness, that focus, by going in with your own thoughts, feelings, what you're going to do about that energy that's out there. Even in that, are you going to choose to jump on the bandwagon and accelerate it and make it bigger and more frightening? Or are you going to sit within yourself and find the peace that you will find within yourself first, that then can be generated out vibrationally? That will make a difference, and that can happen. The question is, this pandemic, why is it here, maybe, of the pandemic in general, or just this pandemic of fear, rage, and everything?
The latter.
Yeah, they said, so we can ask ourselves what we can do about it. You see, it's not just what I can do to say, I'm going to say this back at you, they're saying. It's not about that. I'm feeling very emotional. They just gave me that right now, because it's all about love, and we're losing a sense of love and listening to one another. And sorry, I get emotional sometimes. Saw that Scorpio, I got in that water element.
All right.
But they're just saying, when we sit back with compassion and really hearing, they're emphasizing the ears. They like to do that when they're talking about listening. we start to maybe then start to feel what it's like to be in the other person's shoes, and we can send more peace and love. And I know that sounds all peace and love and all of that, and they're just saying that. But really it does start there. So is it going to dissipate, guys? If we are to say, is some of this what is out there? And that's, to me, that is good advice. Thank you, because I totally get what they're saying on that. We have to check in of how much we're contributing to that. Yes, how much, they're saying it again, how much we're contributing to that chaos. If we are contributing by watching the media and going, yeah, and letting the rage, fuel us more, then, well, what do you think that does? He said, brothers and sisters, just what they said, brothers and sisters. They're trying to make a point that we're brothers and sisters. Mm-hmm. And instead, if you are able to send love and light to it, to sit back from a unbiased position, send a loving energy to anything that you're hearing about, instead of getting it, into the rage of it, you will have done, obviously, yourself a great deal of good, but also energetically out there. When will this dissipate? When everybody understands this. This is why your planet is about this and that, and so much conflict, because ego is so involved in this dimension of life. You can do your part to soften it. And I wrote down what the word was about peaking, if it's going to be peaking, because I want to get to the question as well, in all fairness. Is it going to peak? It will, because people are not ready to do as we are saying. Many are not in a space to be able to collectively start listening. I didn't expect to hear that again. To start listening to what others are saying and having actual, they're too ready to combat, to have their say. Yep. So when that keeps going, until there's more clarity on that, then you're going to see a lot of the chaos still here, unfortunately. Yeah. We're helping. They said we're helping the best way that we can. They show me tapping on the shoulder like, hey, you know what? Listen to what they're saying right there. There might be something in that for you. We're trying to get through to you. They said, sometimes you're not listening, and you're not able, because it's too much of the triggers emotionally that you're dealing with within yourself. That is hitting a personal chord. So again, we say, sit with yourself and bring awareness to yourself, bring love to the planet, limit your exposure to the negative. Okay, leave it with that.
Yeah, very helpful, thank you. We would also just add, and so they showed me a couple of things. So first of all, fear is the basic primal emotion, and it's what drives everything. Greater than love. It just does. Because it's all about survival. And if you don't survive, how can you have love, right? So it is the foundational. It is the foundation of everything that happens in one's life and in cultures and in tribes. It's very tribal. And so that is where a lot of you start from. And if you are threatened in some way, and then there are those who continue to stoke the fire and beat the drum of, it's them, it's their problem, it's their wrong, it's always everybody else. And then you end up then there's all this rage, and you end up blaming other people, and they blame you, and it truly goes nowhere. And we say to you, really, the best thing is to shut it down and go inside and be with your connection to source. Your connection to source is always going to bring you to the highest, most peaceful place of love that you can imagine. And when you are in that place, others will feel that. Because we know that I personally have a friend who likes to beat that drum of fear. And I think we all know somebody who likes to beat that drum of fear. And I just I personally will not listen to it. I can't see Bella. I really, I just shut it down. I shut it down. I don't want to feel that rage that is stoked. And it is a very burning, hot rage that is stoked. And all you can do is bring it down, bring it down, bring it down yourself. And then, as Gandhi said, I don't know if these are the exact words, but, become the change that you want to see. Mm-hmm. All that said, it is not about persuading others to see your point of view as the right point of view. There is no right point of view. A point of view is just that, a point of view. All you can do is bring it back into the heart and say, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore with you or you or you or whatever. I have my perspective, you have your perspective. I don't want to have this discussion with you, and close that down. The sooner those people find less of an audience, the sooner it will stop. Backing away and compartmentalizing and just listening to them and stuffing it and not responding it is not going to stop it. Setting that boundary and saying, I don't want to have this conversation with you anymore. This is the kind of relationship I want to have. If you can't have that, then maybe we don't have that right now. Yeah. Maybe one day we'll have that. But you have to shut it down. You can't tell the flame go out. You have to close, you have to cover, you have to smother the flame. And that comes from shutting the source down and telling whoever you have to listen to, who's beating that drum of fear and their viewpoint of injustice, is just saying, I am not going to have this conversation with you. I love you. And that's the kind of relationship I want to have, not this. So stop it. And I personally had to do that with somebody just a couple weeks ago. And I literally had to say stop many, many times. And then I just went right off into something else.
Yeah.
You have to set a boundary of that. And a boundary doesn't mean compromising yourself or your values. In fact, it's the opposite. It's standing up for what is most important for you. And if that's having a relationship of love and not conflict, then that's what you do. Let's see, did we answer? And when is it going to stop? Well, we're going to go with Tammy and Tammy's guides. It's just not. It's always been here. It will always be here. It is part of your human condition and that foundation of fear. As long as there is fear, there will be this fever. It will come and go. It will grow. It will right. Diminish.
Right.
But it will never go out.
Yeah. Welcome to planet Earth.
Exactly.
Exercise a lot here.
Exactly.
We have lots of opportunity to exercise and see what we can do to make change within ourselves. That's really bottom line of that.
They just said, I have to tell you, because you usually say, welcome to planet Earth. And they said, yeah, it's other places. It's other planets too.
I believe it. Yeah.
Not just here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. We're not alone.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is to look at it too, is like, think of it like you get to choose to engage or not in anything. Isn't life exciting here? Truly, it is exciting. It's a great place to be, as our guides always say. It is. Even if sometimes some of you are like, oh, yeah, I don't think so. Actually, no, it is a great place to be. There's lots of opportunity here. Lots of choices, and a lot of it starts with, again, what your belief system is, how you believe in yourself, what your expectations are. That really, allows you to play the game of life in a positive way or not.
Beautiful.
So yeah, but that was a great question. And We appreciate that. That's, I think, we hope that was helpful, what we got for you.
Exactly. All right. Well, so here we are. I think we're at the end of our questions and at the end of very thought-provoking inquiries, and we
Yeah.
like them.
Yes.
And they just said to me, keep asking, keep asking, keep asking. It is the asking that yields so much of what will help you to grow.
Right.
So no
Very
question
true.
is too small. No question is, okay, they're saying too big, but I'm like, well, okay, we'll see. I hope not.
I know. Yeah, no, we appreciate them. Even if they are too, if it seemed like a silly question or something, throw them at us, because I think those are fun. I always like those kind of philosophical, silly, things that we wonder about sometimes. Anyway, so we'll just mention our again live just September 22nd, 6:30 p.m. And you can find us on either of our Facebook pages. So either Tammy's Intuitive Services and Julie, which one did you say for you?
It's Julie.Hawkins, but it's also Biz Psychic, and I'll share it to the Biz Psychic. You can, share this information with people, please, and ask them to get their questions ready. We really, look, the more questions you have and submit, the fuller it's going to be for you. This is for you. It's not for us. So, well, not for Tammy and I personally. It's for everyone. So,
yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Thanks for those great reminders and just beautiful, beautiful information today. Really fully captured, we think, in a lot of different ways, and really like that. So
Yeah, we're grateful.
Until next Tuesday, it's Two Psychic Moms saying have a really, really beautiful, loving week, and we'll see you next time.
See you then. Bye.